Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisette Castro, and I will be presenting with Jimmy Page. We are going to discuss the 3D manufacturing in the aviation industry. So our research motivation are around the aviation industry losing over 1 million jobs in the US, affecting the livelihood of many people who depend on this industry for a living. In addition to that, the aviation industry is struggling to meet the growing demand of producing aircrafts. The COVID-19 shutdown has slowed the manufacturing process even more. You can see a graph sort of displaying the numbers of the production, demand, and supply in this chart. Next.
Thank you, Liz. Going over the research purpose, we understanding some of the risk the industry faces, we explore an alternative manufacturing process that allows companies to reduce their costs. In the long run, we found that 3D printing technology has the potential to greatly impact the aviation manufacturing industry as a whole and revolutionize the way business is done.
So the research questions that we intend to answer are what impacts does 3D printing have on the aviation industry? What challenges in the aviation industry, in the manufacturing industry could be alleviated using 3D printing, and how could 3D printing in the aviation manufacturing industry shape how we fly?
Thanks, Lisette. Research and introduction, we found that some of the risks of the aviation manufacturing industry are as follows. You have an increased cost caused by fossil fuel dependency, concerns surrounding sustainability, growing demand for new airplanes at a faster pace. Then we have some of the pros with regard to this. We have 3D printing being the answer to some of these problems by allowing the industry first to produce a large quantity of parts without the need of expensive machinery and labor trainings. Secondly, to produce lighter airplanes, reducing the amount of fuel necessary for flight and reducing overall waste. Finally, reducing steps in the supply chain, around allowing for more investments in a quicker build. Was that?
Okay. So the theoretical background that we base our research on is the idea of supply chain, of a resilient supply chain. The supply chain with an strategy that embodies a significantly higher degree of resilience, and resilience implies flexibility and agility. We will give the aviation manufacturing industry this sense of resilience with an aspect of modernization applying the 3D printing. This is an action or process of making a physical object from a three-dimensional digital model, typically by laying down many thin layers of material in succession. Next.
The theoretical framework we found with the resilient supply chain, and we're finding where the supply chain is weak and fixing it. We have a diagram that shows the old and also is showing how 3D printing affects the new. This means that a company must probe its own weakness to figure out what needs to be improved, i.e. integrating with the risk, weaknesses, and awarenesses. Finally, once this is done, of course, everyone, the business and others must continue to monitor the progress of the chain. Liz?
Okay. So some of the examples we found of how 3D printing is being used in the industry are the first one, Boeing and Airbus. The use of 3D printing to create 6,000 out of a total of 6 million parts, which is about 1% of the parts of the airplane. Some of these parts can include cribs, connectors, vents, attachments, which are essential and can be small but very easily produced. 3D printing allows parts to be designed to change more rapidly. For the part design to change more rapidly. 3D printing allows for more complex parts where cutting could not be sufficient. The second example.
We've got case study number 2, British Airways. 3D printing was first used for non-essential amenity kits such as toothbrushes or combs. Then also 3D printed aircraft parts, which include table trays, aircraft windows, in-flight entertainment screens, seats, baggage containers, circuit boards, and electrical switches, and actually parts of the aircraft hull. Using 3D printing parts, we found out can and will reduce weight by almost 55%. Liz?
Okay, so the last example that we found is Stratasys, making the aircraft lighter by 3D printing thousands of their parts, also including clips, connector vents, and filters. Since 2018, Stratasys has 3D printed over 5,000 aircraft parts. In conclusion, James.
3D printing can impact the aviation manufacturing industry if used effectively. With lighter airplanes, reduced use of fuel will alleviate the financial and environmental risk also. Printing major pieces can meet the growing demand for newer aircraft and at a faster rate. Thank you. Liz?
So the managerial implications that 3D printing will bring into the supply chain will be the management will be able to prepare for the company's response for future risks and the assess of opportunities. This will significantly increase the market value of companies. 3D printing will allow for capacitation of current staff to modern new skills to allow for 3D printing to be easily integrated into the supply chain. Lastly, opportunity for new company-to-company relationships where suppliers of more technical or engineering-focused companies can create new relationships with the production companies, aircraft production companies, in which they could both benefit. Next.
Excellent. Limitations. We found that there are some limitations. 3D printing is limited to the type of filaments that are available right now in the marketplace. If the price of those filaments increase, the savings may, of course, be adjusted and may make it insignificant at this point. The size of the parts are limited. We are not able to 3D print an entire airplane, of course. Therefore, assembly is still going to have costs.
Discussions of applications. Some of the things we wanted to bring to the attention of people that may continue to research on this topic are the change of the design of the aircraft is going to continue to change. We're going to be able to see aircrafts much more modern and maybe satisfying more needs that we might experience with traveling. Traveling speed might be affected, might be faster. It will also change the entire experience of flying as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. And here are our sources. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Let me